Selection Sunday, starting with the crowning of a Big Ten champ. Purdue wins the regular season and the tourney. They're a 1 seed in the NCAA tourney. We'll take you through the entire bracket. 8 Big Ten teams in and 1 feeling snubbed. On Big Ten basketball and beyond, now. Welcome in. It is Big Ten basketball and beyond. It is fabulous to have you with us on this Selection Sunday, one of the truly great days of the year. Dave Revson, Rayfeld Davis, Andy Katz. Get your reaction from the United Center coming up in the next hour. First of 2 shows. We got 3 hours of Selection Sunday coverage, guys. Couldn't be more fired up.
This is one of those days where fans look forward to it, the players look forward to it, coaches, media. It's a big day for college basketball. We got 8 teams going to the tournament. 8 chances to get to a Final Four.
We are going to unpack the bracket, but I feel very comfortable that there are a couple of favorable paths for a couple of our schools to get to Houston.
All right, look forward to hearing about that as we break down the bracket, but let's just take you through every Big Ten team that's in. It does start with Purdue. They are a number 1 seed for the Boilermakers. It's the 4th time in school history they have pulled that off. First since 1996, they will get either Texas Southern or Fairleigh Dickinson Friday in Columbus, Ohio. Indiana gets the next highest seed in the Big Ten. They are a 4th seed in the Midwest. They will go to Albany, where they will take on Kent State out of the MAC tourney champs. 41st all-time appearance for the Hoosiers. That is the most of any Big Ten program. Northwestern gets a 7 seed in the West. The Cats are headed to Sacramento to take on Boise State in what is just their 2nd ever NCAA tourney appearance, with the other coming 6 years ago. This from a team that was picked 13th in the Big Ten in the preseason. Also a 7 seed, the Michigan State Spartans. They open up Friday in Columbus against future Big Ten rival USC. The 25th straight NCAA tourney appearance for MSU, extending the longest streak ever for a Big Ten team. Maryland, in the first year under Kevin Willard, gets in as an 8 seed. They head to Birmingham, Alabama for a matchup Thursday with West Virginia. The Terps in for the 30th time. They missed it last year. Last made it 2 years ago. They've been there 6 of the last 8 tourneys. Next up is Iowa, also an 8 seed there in the Midwest. They'll also be in Birmingham, where they will have to take on the Auburn Tigers. So a home state for Auburn. This is a real clash in styles. Iowa likes to get up and down the court. Auburn, a great defensive team. And, of course, Bruce Pearl, a long history at Iowa. Illinois is a 9 seed in the Midwest. They get Arkansas on Thursday. They're in Des Moines, 33rd NCAA tourney appearance for the Fighting Illini, their 3rd straight tourney berth. And finally, Penn State with a great run all the way to the Big Ten championship game, where they nearly pulled off an amazing comeback. They're a 10 seed in the Midwest. They play in Des Moines on Thursday against Texas A&M. Penn State ending the longest NCAA tourney drought in the Big Ten, the 4th longest among power conference teams, as they're in for the first time since 2011. There's a name there that I think we all expected to hear. It is Rutgers. They did not get in. They were the 2nd team out of the tournament. Andy, what can you tell us about why the NCAA snubbed the Scarlet Knights?
Well, and I think this was a definite snub, not just because we're sitting here. I don't agree with Nevada being in over them or NC State. What I was told was that of their 10 wins against quadrants 1 and 2, only 1 of those wins came after Mawot Mag got hurt. That one being at Penn State. Their non-conference didn't help them either. They beat Wake Forest, a team that was not in the field. They lost to Seton Hall, which was very unfortunate because if you remember, that Seton Hall game came after they lost at the buzzer when they shouldn't have to Ohio State. And I remember Caleb McConnell told us, I think on our show over here, where he said there was definitely a carryover a couple days later for that Seton Hall game. And that game has now come back to haunt them. So that's the things that sort of essentially kept them out. But it does show also that the conference tournament matters. They did have the one win, but had they beaten Purdue, I don't see how they would have gotten.
Tall task. 4 quad 3. No, I understand. No, they clearly would have gotten in. I think we believed they were going to be in again 10-10 against quad 1. We've been talking about the Mawat Mag injury. They do look at you as you are currently composed. That's the way that the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee evaluates teams, and I do think it's a fair argument that they were not the same team without Mawat Mag that they were with him, but it certainly seemed like they did enough work to get in, particularly against some of the teams that did make it. I mean, NC State, one quad 1 win. Mm-hmm. How hard is it to play in a league like the ACC and get one quad 1 win all year? But that's the story. What about teams that did get in? What stands out to you, Ray Phil?
I like Purdue in their seed, number 1 seed. They were 19-5 in quad 1 and quad 2 games. They have the best player in the country. They had a slip late in the season, if you want to call it that, losing 4 out of 6. But 3 of those games were on the road at Indiana, at Northwestern. Northwestern should have been the higher seed, but I really like where Purdue is. And I like their path, even though they're the 4th number 1 seed. I like them getting to Elite 8 versus Marquette. And then I look at where Iowa sits. At that 8th seed, I think they can get Auburn. They run a little faster. Auburn's a little slow. They can't score as much. But I like where Iowa is as well.
One quick thing, Indiana's seed. I think that had a lot to do with that second Purdue win, that kept them on the 4 line. Remember, they were going to be a potential 4 in that February 18th top 16. Right. And then after that, that's when they beat Purdue a second time. I think that's what kept them there.
Yeah, beat a number 1 seed twice. That goes a long way for sure. There's some interesting potential matchups here. What about Illinois potentially against Bill Self, former coach? There's a lot to unpack here. We're going to get you out to the United Center, though. Purdue celebrating a Big Ten title. What a year it's been for them.
Dave, thank you very much. We're watching those highlights with Coach Painter, including the final minute and a half. I guess let's start there. I'll ask you about good things coming up in a bit because you guys are the tournament champions, but you had to be as nervous as you could possibly get.
Yeah, makes you want to teach third grade. Gee, many Christmas. Like, you get in those situations, you work so hard to be up 17 with 6 minutes. We had empty possessions. We've had moments like that. You just got to be fundamentally sound more than anything. I know that sounds hokey, like someone would coach you, like be fundamentally sound is a good thing, and just be able to pass and catch and help each other. But, just proud of our guys, for hanging in there. We still were able, even though we didn't make some free throws down the stretch to push the lead right there, we're still able to hang on and then get that stop at the end. Thank the Lord that he obviously traveled.
And at the end of the day, listen, you pull off a very rare double, something never happened before in Purdue basketball history, right. Regular season and tournament title. What does that mean to you and to the guys on this team?
I think more than anything, playing 20 games in the league and winning it by 3 games. Even though we had that one, everybody's had that tough stretch, right? And we had that tough stretch at the end. We've now been able to win 5 straight games going into the tournament. So just happy for our players. They set the narrative this year. Other people didn't set the narrative for us because we lost so much. Our guys really played well, and we especially played well in close games, even though that was a little crazy. Laughing's better than crying, right? But we hung in there. We won a lot of games like that this year, and that's key. You guys talk about it a lot. I actually do listen to you guys sometimes.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah. I know it boosts your guys' confidence.
Yes, very much.
But, you got to be able to win those close games. You got to be able to make free throws, take care of the basketball, even though we didn't do it great today. We pushed on, and now we can go and practice and work on some things before the NCAA tournament.
Coach, last year Zach was a really good player, but this year he's the National Player of the Year. When did you see this coming? Was it in the summer where you thought this might be possible?
And last year. If I play him 30 minutes last year, he's an All-American last year. He's not as good as he is now. Him playing with the Canadian national team and playing with pros and just feeling like he belongs. When I've only played basketball for 6 years. Confidence is huge, right? So, but for him, even though he's a tough cover, his job gets a little bit simple, right? He goes down there, he gets his space. We run a lot of different stuff for him, but he still has to just pass and catch, see what's going on, make good decisions right there. But his ability to rebound out of his area, that's really what's improved. His ball screen D's improved, and then he could actually change shots and block shots where last year he wasn't doing that.
I'm going to ask you this because I've asked all the players that have come up here just to help you because every Purdue fan wants to know, do you work on press offense?
We work on press offense all the time. I know it doesn't look like it, but it's kind of like someone who stinks in math. They get a tutor, they work on it, and guess what? They still stink in math. Is it the tutor's fault? No, they're not very good in math. We have some guys that have pieces to their game. and they're good shooters, they're good passers, they're good rebounders, whatever, and they got some other pieces that you try to work on and do whatever. We got guys in the game because of Jalen Pickett. Pickett needs size. Pickett needs some things. Then we get put in some different positions when that isn't going on at the other end of the court. But no, we put a lot of time into it. We need Braden to make more cuts to get the basketball. When he gets the basketball in his hands more, that really helps us.
Matt, I'm not very good at math, but I can count to 1, and that's important because you are a number 1 seed this year in the NCAA tournament. We hope you make a deep run through the East region. Congratulations on this championship, on the regular season title, and hopefully on a deep run through the month of March and into April.
Thank you.
Purdue head coach Matt Painter on the heels of the Boilermakers 2023 Big Ten Tournament Championship. Let's send it back to Dave in the studio.
Rick, guys, thanks a lot. Congratulations here as well from Coach Painter. 8 straight NCAA tournaments for them, their longest streak in more than 20 years. This is a team that has been number 1 for 7 weeks this year. You look at their draw. They get, obviously, the first game, Texas Southern or FDU, but after that, Memphis or FAU. You got Tennessee in their region. You got Marquette in their region. You got Duke in their region. Some pretty good teams. What do you guys think?
They got to take care of the basketball. We've seen in 2 games in this Big Ten tournament, it gets tight at the end. Teams start pressing them, throw the ball all over the gym. Like Coach said, Braden Smith has got to be available to get the ball, turn and make plays. And then at the end of the day, you got Zach Edey inside, but they got to make shots. They are 265 in the country in three-point percentage, and that's not going to get it done.
To your point, I actually worry more for them about a potential Memphis matchup in the second round than I do the entire rest of the bracket. Because Memphis, I think, provides exactly what you're saying. Yeah. They just beat Houston on Sunday. I know Marcus Sasser was hurt, but their ability to be athletic, they're really long, and that can be disruptive in any kind of press or attack. That, to me, would be maybe their most difficult game along the way. I love, by the way, his brutal honesty. Just, hey, he's got pass and catch and can't throw the ball around.
All right, so you would say the rooting interest for Purdue fans is squarely with the Owls of FAU.
Yes.
Yeah, they're pro
And that
FAU.
happens sometimes. The second round game can be maybe your hardest one along to the Final Four.
All right, what about the team they beat, Penn State, the Nittany Lions, an incredible run. This is a team that a few weeks ago would not have been in the tourney. Not only did they make it, they made it fairly comfortably with a 10 seed in the Midwest, a matchup with Texas A&M. Their coach, Micah Shrewsberry, with the guys.
That NCAA tournament bid no doubt earned in part to the terrific run that Micah Shrewsberry and the Penn State Nittany Lions made this week here in Chicago. Mike, I know you came up a little bit short, but it wasn't for lack of fight. Down 17, you get it down to 1 with 6 seconds to go. How proud were you, not just of today, but of this team's approach and effort all week long?
This team is a group of fighters. They've played well together. They've played hard together. They've believed in each other. And when you do that, like, special things happen. And we've been talking all season long of trying to do something special. Penn State's never even been to the tournament, right? 2011 was the last time. Besides the 2020 year, I feel for those guys that didn't get a chance to go. Hopefully they can latch on to what this team is doing and feel a part of this with us.
Every year, congratulations, amazing run. The last 3 weeks is just so special. As a coach, maybe it's too early, but was there a turning point where something, got them to click and come together?
I think the Maryland game at Maryland, that was the last of our 4 losses in a row. And we didn't win the game, but we played better for longer stretches in that game. And we just showed them the positive things for that. Like, look at what we're doing. Look at how we're playing. Let's take this. Let's bottle it up. And let's do it more. Let's do it more. And those guys bought into it. It's all them. Their belief in each other, how tough they are. Like, I think that's a trademark of who we want to be. And when you start doing that, like, the game honors toughness. And we started making tough plays. Like, now the ball's bouncing in when it's not supposed to. Now the ball's rolling to us when it's not supposed to. So we want to keep doing it. We want to keep playing. We're disappointed in today, but we get a chance to play again next week.
Micah, around the 4-minute timeout today, you guys were in a pretty big hole. What was the message then, and how did it work out that you were able to make such a great comeback?
I think for us, the message was empty the tank. This was it. This is all we had left. We're going to get a chance to rest for a couple of days, but let's leave it all out here. We wanted to come here and try and win a championship. We put ourselves in position to do it. We didn't get it done, but we put ourselves in position, and those guys gave it everything they had. And, you know, I feel for Seth, and he goes up and picks up his 5th foul because he got it going a little bit. He could have helped us there down the stretch when it got really crazy, but Evan Mahaffey came in, brought great energy. Keba, Miles, we were running guys in and out, and they always believed until the final horn we were going to compete, and that's why I'm so proud of these guys.
And Micah, when that final horn blew, it didn't blow on your season because it continues this coming week in the NCAA tournament. I know you're more worried about coaching the guys that are on your team, probably don't have a chance to watch a lot of additional basketball. Any thoughts about A&M, about Coach Williams, about the fact that you're going to the NCAA tournament this week?
I think, first of all, you know, obviously Buzz Williams is a great coach. You know, he's had success at a lot of different levels, whether it's, you know, Marquette or Virginia Tech, now Texas A&M. They're going to be well prepared. They're going to play really hard. So this is going to be a battle for us that, you know, we got to regroup, get ready to play, and then, you know, go out and again, compete until the end. I'm so happy for our guy. I'm happy for our school, right? Like, our program hasn't had the success, but there's a lot of success going on at Penn State and in a lot of other sports, and we get a chance to join the party.
Congratulations again on an amazing run. Wish you the best of luck this week in the NCAA tournament.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate everything.
Penn State head coach Micah Shrewsberry as we send it back to Dave.
Really cool story, incredible run these last few weeks. 4th time they made the tourney as a Big Ten team. They haven't won a game since 2001. What stands out to you about the Nittany Lions and their draw, Andy?
Well, first of all, I like it a lot. I don't think the SEC is a team like Penn State. I think they can bully ball them, the Aggies, and if they, you know, were to get, I mean, I know Texas played in the Big 12 and they're physical and all that, but I like the way Penn State can control the tempo, and I think Penn State legitimately could go pretty far in this bottom part of the bracket.
I mean, you look at Texas A&M, and you even look at Texas. They don't play with their traditional big. They're not throwing the ball inside. And when it comes to a guards game, I trust Penn State because they have one of the best guards in the country in Jalen Pickett. They don't turn the ball over. They make shots all over the floor. And also, you think about Texas A&M and the way they play. Stylistically, they like to trap inside. Penn State's not throwing the ball inside. They're swinging it around the perimeter. I like to where Penn State is positioned.
And they're better than the top part of that bracket, too, in that region.
Yep.
When you are 7'4", you don't need a ladder to cut down the net. I mean, that is a great visual. Zach Edey, the most outstanding player in the Big Ten tourney, able to snip it off without even going up a step. Let's send it back out to the crew in Chicago with the star of the Big Ten tourney, Zach Edey.
Purdue backs up its regular season championship with the 2023 Big Ten tournament title, and we are joined by the most outstanding player of this year's championship, Zach Edey. Zach, what does that mean? This league was so tough all year to be able to win not just the regular season title, but to come here in Chicago with all the pressure on you as the #1 seed and to be able to clinch this championship as well. How special is that?
It's a great feeling, man. You know, every game is a tough game in the Big Ten. There's no easy teams, no off days. I think Ohio State was one of the hottest teams in the country when we played them. Penn State, again, they won 8 of their last 9. We're playing really good teams. We got to come out every day, prove why we're the best team in the Big Ten, and I think we did that.
Zach, last year, a really good season, but you came up empty in the regular season. You come up empty in the Big Ten tournament. How much did that fuel this group all year long?
A lot, man. We feel like we were kind of owed something a little bit. We felt like last year we kind of missed some things, so this year we're kind of coming for everything that we didn't get last year.
You've accomplished so much this year. It's unbelievable. What are you most proud of?
Man, I'm just proud of everything. Like my teammates, I can't be more proud of them. The way they've stepped up, where the freshmen have stepped up. It's not easy to be a freshman in the Big Ten. They've made it look really easy. So I'm super proud of my teammates, super proud of everyone, and the way they've all helped me.
Zach, you said no game in this league is easy, and this one wasn't. You're up 17 with 6 minutes to go. It's a 1-point game with 6 seconds to go, and then Penn State has a chance. Take me through the range of emotions you guys were feeling over those final 6 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, credit to them. They really stuck in the game. They really hung in. They made some plays on the stretch, made some tough shots. we hung in there as well, though. We were resilient. We stuck to our game plan, and we ended up coming away with the win, which is all that matters, really.
Zach, David Jenkins is a guy that maybe hasn't gotten the credit all year long, but in the postseason here, he's really stepped up. How important has he been to this group?
He's been doing the same thing all year. Dave's great, not just on the court, off the court. He's great locker room presence. He always plays with great joy. He brings great joy to the locker room. The same, you see him on the court, he's the exact same person off the court. He's always happy, always supporting us. So you kind of see it now, but he's been doing this all season.
I've asked the last two guys. Braden was here. Mason was here about press breaker. Everyone's wondering. Tell Coach Painter to put you in the press breaker so you can be part of it. Get the ball up the court. You guys have struggled.
Yeah, that'd be a strategy, I guess. I think Payne's been around the game a little more than me, so I'm going to trust him to figure it out.
Well, you figured out just about everything this year. The Big Ten's Player of the Year, the most outstanding player of the tournament, and your presumptive National Player of the Year. Zach, we appreciate the time. Congratulations on this championship, the regular season title, and, of course, wish you and the Boilers the best of luck in the NCAA tournament.
Thank you.
Dave, we'll send it back to you in the studio in Chicago.
Thanks, guys. Heck of a day for the Boilers. Second ever Big Ten tourney title, and then the 1 seed as well. Somewhat of a blasé reaction. I think they knew. Okay, now here we go. They knew they were going to be a 1 seed after this tourney title, just the 4th time they've done it in school history. Indiana gets just its 3rd NCAA tourney bid in the last 8 years, but their 2nd straight. Won their first 4 game last year before losing to St. Mary's in what is the first round. You see the Hoosiers celebrating in Bloomington. Danny Rogers was there to capture the reaction of Coach Mike Woodson.
Coach Woodson, your Hoosiers are a 4 seed in the Midwest region. After the Big Ten tournament results, why is your team ready for that challenge?
Well, I think we've earned it. That's not to say that we were going to be given a 4th seed, but all I can do is relate back to when I started this journey a little over a year and a half, and getting this team in the tournament last season as a play-in. We made a major jump this season, and that has a lot to do with the guys in the locker room. I don't play, they do, but I couldn't be more proud of a group of guys. I told them after the selection came out that they've earned the right. And we've been together all year, and we've lost some tough games, and I think back to when we started the Big Ten and we hit the skid and losing Xavier Johnson and Race, and we just found a way to figure it out. And we played some pretty damn good basketball coming down the home stretch, but old coach wasn't able to get them over the hump yesterday, and that hurts me more than anything for Trace and Race and Miller Kopp, because those guys are seniors and they'll never get an opportunity to play for a Big Ten tournament. But we got a second chance now in being invited to the big dance. You don't want to be on the outside watching March Madness. You want to be in the dance, and we got this opportunity, and boy, I want to try to make the best of it.
First step in making the best of it would be to beat Kent State. Then they get either Miami or Drake, and interestingly enough, looming as the 1 seed in that region is Houston and their former coach Kelvin Sampson. What do you think of their draw?
I love it. I really think that Indiana benefited by getting arguably a draw that they can win. I think they can get to Houston by potentially not even having to play Houston, because we'll get to them momentarily. There's another Big Ten team that could knock them off before that. I think not playing on Sunday may actually help Indiana. They got bullied by Penn State. When we saw Indiana at its best, I don't think there's anyone in this bracket that is as good as them offensively in this bracket.
Yeah, Jalen Hood-Schifino, he's a bona fide bucket, can score in multiple ways. Trace Jackson-Davis is an All-American. I always say, and to win in March, you need an NBA guard, All-American forward, and they have that. And you look at this game against the first game, they should win that one. They get Miami next. Miami has a great offense, but they don't really guard anyone at times. Right. And Jalen Hood-Schifino can have a field day against those guys. They got to make shots, though. Miller Kopp's got to make shots. Galloway's got to make shots, and then they got to try and defend those guards.
Been a while since Indiana's made a deep run, as we know, but that first game's gone pretty well for them when they've gotten in. They've won 8 of their last 10 NCAA tourney openers. Great scene in Evanston as Northwestern and the Wildcat fans heard their name read on Selection Sunday for just the 2nd time ever and first in 6 years. Cats, of course, won their first game back in 2017. They were set west that year. They're set west again, taking on Boise State out of the Mountain West. Let's get some reaction from Evanston as we check in with Brooke Fletcher.
Northwestern's going dancing. They are the 7th seed in the West region, and I am here with head coach Chris Collins. Now, Coach, congratulations. Second time in school history you were going to the NCAA tournament. Just what does this mean to you and your team?
It's really special. I mean, anytime you can do something historical for a program, it means a lot, and it means a lot for what these guys have accomplished. You know, this was probably not expected by a lot of people, but we believed it could happen. So to be able to celebrate it together and see your name called and on the selection show is a pretty special moment.
Yeah, this team just continues to exceed expectations and just prove that they belong. What is it about this team that makes them so special?
Well, great leadership and belief, and they're a really connected group. They believe they can win. They're tough, and they're excited about playing. I mean, it's a new, you get to the March Madness, it's a brand new ball game, and we're in there, and we got a chance, and we're looking forward to getting out to California.
All right, well, let's get to your first opponent here. You're taking on Boise State in the first round in Sacramento. What do you make of your opponent and the challenges they could present?
Well, terrific program. Coach Rice does a great job. That conference, I think, is very underrated, the Mountain West. We know we're going to have our hands full, but everybody in the tournament is really good. So we'll get to work, start watching some film, and be ready to go on Thursday.
All right, thank you so much, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks a lot. And congratulations, obviously, to the Wildcats. Let's talk about this draw. Boise State, Leon Rice, longtime Gonzaga assistant. Really good defensive team, which could be a challenge given how much Northwestern struggles to score. And then UCLA to follow that, a future Big Ten foe. What do you think of how the Cats were treated?
Well, I think they were treated well. I thought a 7 was where they were going to go. Boise State is a team that, has had its moments this season. They're a little bit rugged. They're not that athletic. So I think that Northwestern boo-booey can push the basketball against them. I think they can get behind them and have Boise State chase if they can do that, because obviously, as you said, they're a pretty good defensive team. But I like this draw to a point. The UCLA looming, if they can get by the first round in California, does not bode well for the Wildcats. But hey, they're further than anyone thought.
I don't like the draw for Northwestern. I think they should be a little higher. You look at Indiana, they beat those guys. Michigan State getting a 7 seed, same as Northwestern. I think they got done a little bad there, but they got to get Chase Audige going. They want to win games in March. Chase Audige got to play well offensively, take good shots, get to the basket, and get to the free throw line. He can't just settle for jump shots.
Particularly with the emergence of Brooks Barnheiser now. They've got another offensive threat here, but that was kind of, you were looking for a third scorer with Audige. They find the third scorer, and the second scorer has disappeared a little bit. We'll see whether or not they can get that done here in the next few days. But again, really exciting day for Northwestern, given where they were picked 13th in the Big Ten. The Iowa Hawkeyes happen to be dancing as well, a team that did lose in the first round last year, but prior to that, they had won their first game in 4 straight appearances. Again, they head to Birmingham to take on Auburn, so playing Auburn in its home state. In Iowa City, Justine Ward getting the reaction from Fran McCaffrey.
Joined by Fran McCaffrey. And Fran, you're an A seed. You're taking on Auburn in the first round. What's your reaction?
We're just thrilled any time we get an opportunity to play in this tournament. I think everybody knows how hard it is to get through the grueling Big Ten season and end up in a position to continue to play. So I'm just happy for my guys.
Obviously, looking back to last year, the run-up to March Madness, a bit different, went deep in the Big Ten tournament. But this year, you'll have some extra rest. What's the impact of that to your team?
I look at the positive both ways. I mean, last year we were playing at a high level. Didn't shoot it well in the first round. That can happen. Now, like you said, we have a chance to rest. We have a couple guys that have logged major minutes, so they're rested, and it's time to go to work.
You look at Chris Murray's development over this past year. How big of a piece is he for you as you look at a deep run in March?
Yeah, you need a guy that's playing at that level that can score, 25, 30. Everybody can play off of him. I thought he really expanded his game. He could always shoot and score, but he's rebounding. He's making plays. He's really completed the picture. He's playing really good defense, and it's a great place to start.
Mentioned this a couple times, but Iowa obviously an up-tempo team, as we know. They play at the fastest pace of the Big Ten. Auburn, a tremendous defensive team. You've got the storyline of Bruce Pearl, former Iowa assistant, obviously somewhat of a controversial tenure at the end there in Iowa City. So there's a lot to latch on to here, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously those storylines are going to be out there, but this is not an Auburn team that scores the ball well at all. I mean, they played Northwestern 43-42 in Cancun. I really like this draw for Iowa because Houston's another team, whether Sasser plays or not, that has scoring droughts. I think Iowa legitimately could get to the Sweet 16 out of this top part of this bracket because of their ability to score as long as they continue to do what they've normally been doing, not the last 2 games that we've seen from Iowa.
They continue to push the pace, play fast, kind of trying to run them out the gym. That's the style that Iowa want to play in this game. But when you got a player like Chris Murray can get you 30 and 10 on any given night, that's always going to give you a chance. In tournament-style games, you need guys that can go out there and get you a bucket when things get tight. And then if Payne Stanford is making shots, Tony Perkins getting to the basket, if Iowa's clicking, I can see them getting past Auburn, see them beating Houston. You think it's slow basketball Houston plays. They're making threes at a high rate. It's going to be tough to beat them.
Going to be interesting to see what the status of Sasser is going into the NCAA tournament. He's so much a part of what Houston does, but we'll see whether Iowa can advance. I mentioned they've had some good success in that first game outside of last year against Richmond. Second game's been a problem. They haven't made it to the Sweet 16 since 1999, so we'll see whether or not this is the year for the Hawks. The Maryland Terrapins are into the tourney, and how about this? They get a border battle, as they pointed out, against West Virginia. 30th all-time appearance for Maryland as they will look to make it out of the first weekend for the first time since 2016. Got that matchup with the Mountaineers and then potentially the top overall seed in Alabama. That's the challenge facing Kevin Willard, who chatted with Christy Winter-Scott.
Joined now by Maryland head coach Kevin Willard. Coach, you're headed to the South region, taking on West Virginia. You're an 8th seed. What was the emotion that you felt as soon as you heard Maryland's name called tonight?
Yeah, it's a great feeling. I mean, I've always told everyone, to be one of the at-large teams means that you've put together not just an end-of-the-season run, you've put together a really good season all along. So really happy for my kids. They've really bought in. They're a fun team to coach. So more than anything, you're just so relieved and you're really happy for your kids.
Well, I know the regular season is now complete. What is your evaluation of the regular season as you head into the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously we played really well at home. We've played well on neutral sites, too. I love this team. I love the fight. I love how they've bounced back after every loss. And, the fact that they're playing in the NCAA tournament against a Hall of Fame coach, a legendary program, is really exciting. A Coach Huggins' team is going to be physical. They're going to rebound. His teams are so well coached, so disciplined on the defensive end. For us, it's going to kind of get back to being a little bit better on the offensive end. I think towards the end of the season, our transition offense and our transition defense was probably the reason why we lost against Indiana. So, just getting back to some good fundamentals in transition, I think will really help us.
So that's the story in College Park. Again, an interesting draw against West Virginia. And then, look, anytime you're in the 8-9, there's going to be a good team looming if you win. But let's talk about this West Virginia game. This is going to be a physical game, Andy.
Yes. I saw this West Virginia team early in the season when they weren't playing well out in Portland. They've improved dramatically within the Big 12. They had an awesome win at Iowa State. They came from behind. They've got, a number of transfers on that team. This is going to be, as you said, an incredibly physical game for Maryland. They're going to have to bring it to beat West Virginia.
I played against West Virginia, and the first thing you write on the board when facing those dudes is handle their pressure. Don't let them speed you up. Be able to take care of the basketball, and that's what Maryland has to do. They have a primary ball handler in Jameer Young, but I think Don Carey's going to be big time in this game, handling the ball, getting it up the court, and then for them to win this game, you got to think about Dante Scott, Julian Reese, and Akeem Hart. They've got to play well. Maryland's not that deep on the offensive end, so you need your guys to be rolling when you're facing a defensive juggernaut like a West Virginia.
Maryland typically does pretty well in this spot. In fact, very well. They've won their first game in 14 of their last 15 NCAA tourney appearances. It's getting out of that first weekend that has been a challenge for the Terps. Michigan State, we know about all their success through the years, and how about Tom Izzo? 25 straight NCAA tourneys for him. That is the longest streak all time for any head coach. They're a 7 seed. They will take on USC. They get to stay in Big Ten country, going to Columbus, Ohio. Audrey Dahlgren getting Izzo's reaction.
Joining me now is Michigan State men's basketball coach Tom Izzo, or as he's better known as around here, Mr. March. Tom, this is an exciting day for you guys, a historic day for you, but really go into more detail about why you wanted to have all of the families around for the NCAA tournament show today.
Well, it's been, for years here, we've gone, and so it becomes anticlimactic, and I didn't think it was fair to the players, and then you look at the COVID years and all the things that have gone on, you miss a year, and I just said, it was time to get the media back together with the parents, and we had the parents all on Zoom, and just the players so they could feel the thrill of the NCAA tournament instead of, oh, here we go again, It's kind of sad that it's that way, but I'm part of the problem, so today I wanted to be part of the solution.
You were able to have a special video that popped up at the end celebrating the fact that this is your 25th straight appearance. No other coach has been able to do that. What were you kind of thinking when you saw these magical moments play back?
God, I want some of those players back is what I was thinking. Mateen Cleaves, what he did for me and what he did for this school was unbelievable. Then a lot of other players followed, but when you looked at it, and Bill Raftery was so great to narrate that. I don't know how they got all that done. It was a complete surprise to me, but give our people credit, our video people, and all the people that worked on it. And, of course, for Bill, thank you, Bill. But, brought back a lot of good memories. And it's been a lot of years, and a lot of good years. And hopefully we can rekindle the magic, as he said.
There was a lot of excitement.
Well, there has been a lot of magic. 8 Final Fours under Tom Izzo. Again, 25 straight. I mentioned the longest streak for any head coach. It's the longest streak ever for a Big Ten team. The second longest active streak behind only Kansas. Time for the third longest streak for any school all time. It's been a remarkable run. What about making it deep this year, Andy?
Well, look, USC's a team that's been incredibly inconsistent. They have a big-time scorer in Boogie Ellis, who transferred there from Memphis. He's had a great year. Good shooter from Drew Peterson. But they have been kind of like Michigan State, up and down and up and down. They had their big win over UCLA, and then they'll lay an egg. This is really a pick-em in a 7-10. This could be an 8-9. Obviously, they're right there. Michigan State, which team are we going to get? Yeah. That's what we don't know. Which A.J. Hoggard are we going to get?
That's true. And guards win you games in March. We say it all the time. Their guards, they've been rolling as of late. They struggled against Ohio State. But A.J. Hoggard, he's got to take care of the basketball. But outside of their offense, they got to defend at a higher level. They got to get back to that vintage Tom Izzo defense to be able to win in March. And then you look at a guy, one of their older guys, Malik Hall, really struggled against Ohio State. 0 for 6 from the field, just 3 points in 23 minutes. They need something from him. They need him to go inside against USC, be able to get a presence in the post, and that'll be big time.
USC, if there's an area of great strength for them, it is that defense on the interior. Not as good on the perimeter, which, honestly, Michigan State doesn't look to score inside all that much anyway. So perhaps that's a matchup that works out pretty well for the Spartans. Illinois dancing for the third straight year. They're a 9 seed in the Midwest. They will take on Arkansas Thursday in Des Moines. If they win, a likely matchup against their former head coach, Bill Self, and the Kansas Jayhawks. Telly Hughes in Champaign with the head coach, Brad Underwood.
Illinois, a 9 seed in the West region. Head coach Brad Underwood joins me now to break it all down. But before we get to your opponents, some anxious moments before your name was called in that room upstairs.
Well, it's an exciting day. To me, this is the best day of the year. As a kid, you grow up and can remember writing out the brackets and when you heard them. And there's always a little anxiety. You're excited to hear your name and who you're going to play, where you're going to play.
Arkansas out of the SEC, a tough league, but how has the Big Ten prepared this Illinois team for this potential run coming up?
Big Ten's the best league in the country. I've said it all year long. And, every single night that you go play, you're going to play somebody that's really well coached, that has great players, that has pros. Our opponent, Arkansas, is no different. Muss does a great job there. He's had that program rolling. I know they're very talented. I don't know a lot about them in terms of style, but it'll be a great opponent. And I know this: we're well prepared going through the rigors of the Big Ten to face anybody, and we're excited about the opportunity.
feel like Illinois is a team that if you're a 1 seed, you really don't want to see coming out of an 8-9 game just because of how good their high-end wins have been this year. I mean, this is a team that's beaten Texas and UCLA. What do you think of where the Illini sit?
Well, they're playing an Arkansas team that's been incredibly inconsistent. They've had a lot of injuries, but I wouldn't. This is very similar to the Michigan State-USC game. Both teams, it's hard to trust one of them. You don't know which team's going to show up. There have been moments where Arkansas has looked pretty good and others where they've really completely collapsed. If Illinois, big if they can play like that second half against Northwestern, I think they win this game running away. But that's the big if.
Because you know how talented Illinois is. Matt Meyer, Terrence Shannon Jr., Dane Danger, and those guys, Coleman Hawkins. They got to play the right way. Which Illinois team are you going to get offensively? Are you going to get the team that takes quick threes, the step-back threes, not moving the basketball and is sticking? Are you going to get to Illinois that has 15, 16 assists, everybody's touching it, they're throwing the ball inside? I think it's all about having a happy balance. They got to have some Dane Danger throwing it inside, but then they got to take some threes, but they got to be good ones off of reversals, driving the ball, getting into the lane. But with how they're built, long, athletic, they can defend, they can push the ball. I like Illinois in a tournament setting because it's all about hoop at this point.
Absolutely, and I've beaten 2 of the 2 seeds. I mean, again, it's been a long time since they've gotten out of that first weekend. Actually, the last time they did it was the year they made the national championship game in 2005. But this is a team, again, we've seen them this year when they're at their best. They are awfully good. So that takes you through everyone in the Big Ten. Let's get you a quick look at how everyone fared here. Purdue, a 1 seed, and then on down, Indiana, Michigan State, Northwestern, Iowa, Maryland, Illinois, and Penn State. You've heard our thoughts. Let's send you back out to our crew at the United Center to get their reaction. Guys?
The brackets have been filled, and we've spent at least minutes now magnifying them, making sure that we know exactly what to think about. Let's work through the first round. What first-round matchup involving a Big Ten team intrigues you and why?
I'm going to go with Auburn, Iowa. You know, you look at what Auburn was able to do this year, more of a defensive team, but you look at their guards, they can be dynamic, whether it's Wendell Green or Katie Johnson. Both those guys are going to be looking to get their games on. They will pressure you. They can turn you over. You look at what Iowa's done with their press. I think really interesting matchups as well when you look at Chris Murray and some of the athletes that Auburn has in their front court. That's what I've got circled. And on top of that, you have Bruce Pearl going against his former school where he was an assistant, the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Texas A&M and Penn State. At this time of the year, you're always worried about style of play. Well, you know, Texas A&M is pretty basic. They play hard and all that. They got to be worried about Penn State. No one has faced a team like that. They play different, and they got one of the best players in the country in Jalen Pickett.
I'm going to go Indiana against Kent State, the champion of the Mid-American Conference. Jalen Hood-Schifino and Sincere Carey for Kent State. It's got to be like the first matchup of Pittsburgh point guards in the history of the NCAA tournament. The Pittsburgh basketball community is very small. I'm going to bet that those two guys have played against each other before, know each other, and it should be a very interesting duel.
The Pittsburgh basketball community has a team to watch. That's not the case on the banks near Rutgers. Mike, you feel like the Scarlet Knights got shorted.
I can't understand it other than to say the Mountain West Conference, what I call the metric mirage. Even though you look at Rutgers metrics, they were very good. They were 40th in the net. There was no problem there. They had 7 wins against the field. The other Mountain West teams, Nevada and Utah State in particular, there just wasn't any achievement there. I don't understand how you could leave Rutgers out. I wonder if it was the injury to Mawat Mag, but none of the other teams that had major injuries got punished by seeding and certainly not by being left out.
Probably looking back to that one last-second loss to Minnesota, if you had to pick one game that keeps Steve Peichel's team out of the tournament, but we all agree should have been 9. Instead, 8 Big Ten teams set to fill the brackets in this year's March Madness.
Really tough to see Rutgers get left out. It would have been the 3rd straight year that they had made it. But again, 8 Big Ten teams in. There's only been more a couple times, the last 2 years, in fact, where there were 9. Guys, your takeaways from this bracket?
Feel terrible for Rutgers. I really felt they deserved to be in. Caleb McConnell, Paul Mulcahy's worked their whole career to go out on this note. But then you look at it, Purdue got the number 1 seed. This is what they've been wanting. They got the best player in the country. I think this is the year where Purdue, they can make a run to the Final Four. And then I'm really looking at Illinois. I think Illinois, I've been saying it all season long, they could be a team with those athletes, with those guys who score the ball. They can get there.
Following up on Rutgers, Mike is right. That is the reason. Steve Peichel told reporters on Sunday that they will accept an NIT bid because he wants Caleb McConnell to continue playing, unlike North Carolina, which has said they're not going to take an NIT bid. I love Purdue and Indiana's draw, and to some extent Penn State. Last season, Purdue didn't win the regular season. They thought they would. Didn't win the conference tournament. They thought they would. This season, they got both of them. They want to get to the Final Four. I think this sets up for them to get to the Final Four. Remember, they beat Duke in Portland. They've already beaten Marquette. They're 2 seed. I like Indiana's path because Houston's a little wobbly. And Penn State. I think we could have an Indiana-Penn State matchup. How about that?
That would really be something. It has felt all year like Penn State is a team that's kind of built for March Madness.
Yes, you've said that.
How unusual they are. We're going to do this again at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll have the women's bracket as well. We will see you then on a banner day for the Big Ten.